I'm Gino Costabile. I am the prop shop supervisor for the Connecticut Repertory Theater, and I provide props for all of our productions and for all of our student-driven productions and all that kind of thing. So anything prop-related I'm involved with. The way I teach my students and the way it was taught to me is that if you think of a show as a house, right? The props is involved in taking care of everything that you would put in the moving truck when you're moving, right? Scenery is the house itself. Props takes care of all the stuff that you would put into the truck. So furniture, pictures, wall dressings, lights, like all that kind of thing. So props management involves sort of being a jack of all trades and knowing a little bit about each of the other disciplines in theater, knowing about scenery construction, a little bit of costuming, a little bit of electrical work, a little bit of sound work. Like we touch every other department regularly. I actually got my undergraduate BFA from the University of Connecticut. I was an acting major here. And then when I graduated from here, I went on to New York City and I got my MFA in acting from the Actors Studio Drama School at Pace University. I was always the actor doing the show that would provide all the props and refinish furniture and do all those things. And I really started to love it because it was kind of the perfect balance between what I had learned for all those years as an actor and like my crafting side too. Like they both meet right in the middle because the actors really have to touch and work with props so much that it's part of the acting experience. So I went on to just be an actor for a while, joined Equity, worked professionally, and then just always kind of wanted to get back into prop making and started working with Hartford Stage Company as an overhire. So I was a freelancer. That's where I really honed in my craft in the years that I was there. And then I came here as soon as there was an opening because it felt like coming home again. And so I'm really happy to have had that journey, which led me back to kind of like where everything started. We got the request to make Fortinbras' head, and my mind immediately went into all of the old school ways of casting a head, which is life casting, which would consist of sitting the actor down, putting an alginate mold on their face, making a mold, making a silicone model of the head, painting, like this whole long drawn out fairly expensive process that's been used for years. But then I sat back and I realized that we have the Connecticut Arts and Engineering Institute upstairs, and we have all these great 3D printers and 3D scanners, and I was like, I wonder if the way this sort of thing is moving is towards 3D scanning and printing, because I do a lot with 3D printing. I think that that's just a great way that the industry has kind of moved forward. And so I talked to Ed Weingart and Paul Spirito, who work at the Connecticut, and they came up with the idea that they would 3D scan our actor's head, and then I would take the 3D model and kind of polish it and mess with it in some of the 3D rendering programs that we have. We scanned him, we printed this as a test version, and then it worked out. This is kind of a really primitive version of it. There's a lot of angles on the eyes and things like that. The mesh wasn't really smoothed out, so this is like a really rough version. After I printed this one out, I kind of saw what I needed to fix in the 3D software. So then I took the 3D software and then smoothed out all these lines and kind of got rid of these weird angles on the eyes and made it look more organic, and then printed this one out, and then this one came out about as perfect as I could have wanted it. The weight and the durability, it doesn't weigh much, and it's pretty durable. Like you can drop this on the ground and it won't break. The challenge that I found was painting it so it looked human. I'm not used to painting life, still lifes or anything like that. So I took like a photo of the actor and was, here with an airbrush and kind of had the picture pulled up on my phone, and I was looking at the picture and gathering that there was some blues in the creases, and you think about a normal flesh color and you think, oh, it's like pink, and then you put a little red on the lips and stuff, but there's so many other subtle hues to a person's face that I never realized. So it was a lot of shading and going back and repainting this part, and then thinking oh wow, he has a lot of red on the cheeks, so oh, that's too much red, he's not wearing makeup, so my challenge was fine art. The one prop that I think I'm proudest of was we did a production of Midsummer Night's Dream at Hartford Stage, and I had to build a chariot that Titania could ride in and the actor playing Bottom could pull. And so it needed to be very structural So we had we had a steel frame construction and actual wagon wheels, and I did all this welding on it, made a frame. I'd never done that before. And then it had to look like there was a high level of finish on it too, because it was the Queen of the Fairies, it had to look like this big thing. So it was the perfect mesh of structural engineering along with artistry. And I have to be honest, when my manager at the time assigned me to do it, I didn't think I would be able to pull it off. She pushed me to do it and was like, you can do this. And I did it, and it was really good, and it worked out really well, and it was beautiful. And it doesn't exist anymore. It was taken apart and destroyed, for the materials, because that's what we do. But it was just, for a moment in time, this perfect thing, with all of my knowledge and all of my heart was put into it, and it worked out really well. And that's kind of why I do this, for those moments where it works.